Phoebe and Kevin Sisk met at age 18 and 19. Almost 40 years later, they have built a marriage that not only brought life into the world by raising their two children, Elijah and Sarah Kathrine, but their marriage is this pure beacon of light to our community at Pure Yoga Dallas. Both Phoebe and Kevin have proudly served as Marines and have incorporated attributes learned in their service toward their 17-year hot yoga practice and their marriage. After a recent traumatic and life-threatening health scare, we want to bring both Phoebe and Kevin's voices to the forefront to share their wisdom in when to willpower through and when to have the strength to listen to your body and have the grace to know when to rest.
Hello everybody, my name is Lane and I have the honor of sitting with and bringing you a wonderful conversation with community members at our Dallas location. This is Phoebe Sisk and Kevin Sisk, two amazing people, individuals, and they are married and have this incredible support system between the two of them. So really happy to bring an interview to you guys from Kevin and Phoebe. Yes.
Thank you.
We'll talk first about, what y'all's yoga path.
Sure.
Kind of how it started, how it's going, and then also, we'll talk about core values. You guys represent the heart of Pure Yoga Dallas.
Thank you.
Pure Yoga Texas, these core values that we really love to incorporate. And then also we want to talk about your recent life shift that you guys just went through.
Thank you.
So yes, just kind of give you a platform to share some clear, pure perspective, because you guys definitely have that going on right now.
Thank you, Lane.
Yes.
We're honored to be here. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll start with the yoga journey. I'll tell a tiny bit about before Pure Yoga, and then Kevin's great at telling the story of Pure Yoga. So I had done traditional yoga previously. We have two kiddos, a 21-year-old and a 23-year-old. And when they were really young, I wanted just to, a little stimulation of the mental, abilities. And so I did a yoga certification called Priya Yoga, and it was here in Dallas. And it was more about sort of reading the body and healing. It was less about the practice. And so it was exciting. And then we came across Pure Yoga in 2004, and I'll shoot over to Kevin, let him tell that part of the story.
So it was 2004, and Phoebe had actually stumbled into a class first, and at the time I was a pretty active runner, and distance and heat were my preferences. The hotter and the farther, the better. And then when Phoebe found Pure Yoga in 2004, she says, "Hey, I think you'd really love this. It's really hot." And I was like, "Yoga? Like, how can that be anything?" I didn't know anything about it. I was very ignorant about it. But I said, "What the heck, I'll try." And I did one 90-minute class, and I crawled out. After my first class, I crawled out. But and then I did a few that year, a few the next year, but it was really in 2007 where we became very active in our practice. So we've been practicing, I guess that's, 17 years now? And
wow.
And we've been hooked.
Absolutely.
And now it's become more of a, not so much, doing the yoga so you can have a good, healthy life. It's sort of, can you live a life up to the yoga? And that's sometimes a tougher challenge, but it helps us keep focused on the things that matter most.
Absolutely.
So, and I guess we're going to do it till the day we die now. We're hooked.
Well said, well said. Yes, and I think I'll add, so Kevin and I are Marines. I wouldn't say former Marines, because once a Marine, always a Marine. That's a big no-no to say former Marine.
Right.
But we kind of brought that into our practice when we started. And I think one of the hugest benefits of Pure Yoga is that it taught us to kind of give the wheel up from our Marine inner selves to the yogi inner self, and to begin to all these wonderful attributes, that we're developing to hopefully extend to others. You learn to also extend that to yourself, and that you begin to know the difference between, I guess, the pain of progress and then the pain of overly pushing through. And so that's been I think Kevin and I are both wired similarly, and that was a lesson we both needed a lot about, and not only in physical activity, but in life. And so,
Right.
Wow, that's really interesting.
yeah, so that's been, we really had to learn not to push through. And I will never forget, you know, and I really think it took me about 10 years of practicing to really, to know that. I was the classic, you know, you show up, and I was very, you know, when we did Savasana, I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I was impatient through it, and was the first to hop up off the mat and run and shower, the first one out the door. And, you know, I think didn't rest through any of the postures the first 10 years, and that's not really the point of it. You know, then I was really not listening to my body, if you will. And so I think it's about rounding out the lesson. You know, we've lived on one end of the spectrum of over exercising will, and sometimes that's called for, you know, in the Marine Corps. But you also want to be able to live on the other end of the spectrum and be able to exercise that when you need to.
Like know how to exercise the will.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is much harder and much more evolved than just brute force, which is sort of, you know, I was the youngest of 4 births. Phoebe's youngest of 10, and so when we met, we were both, you know, fighters by fighters by nature, and survivors. Phoebe was raised by her dad. I was raised by my mom, and so our nature was about like just grinding and pushing. And so there's an element of the yoga that certainly that has that, but you know, that we found over the years, the higher part is just what Phoebe was describing, is that, and that's really the harder part, is to know how to pace, know how to listen to your body, know how to breathe. And it's a struggle for me even to this day. Have to really, really work at it, and I think about it, but it's about halfway through the class I start to settle down into it. But the journey in that process is so universal in life, and so that's why I like to think about in life trying to live up to the yoga, not using the yoga to live life.
That's great.
And that's a different calling.
That's very well said.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
I love that so much. I feel like I am learning those lessons like as we speak as well. So it's so helpful to hear you guys articulate something that's so difficult to articulate. Because, I mean, when you first learn that you have a quadricep, for an example, it's like, oh, there's a quadricep. My options are I engage it and I disengage it. It's like I use my will, and it's only 100%. That's the only option to get engagement.
Isn't that true?
But then, after 10 years of being like, there's my quadricep, it's like there are other, I can engage that quadricep 60%.
Yes, yes.
I don't have to, at first, my awareness only allowed on and off.
Right?
100 and 0.
Exactly.
Right?
And now that there's some finer details to it, there are more options.
So true.
And that's a higher state.
It is.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
I mean, it is not easy to get to that, and I'm the first one to say, you know, because it's sort of that 0 to 100, and if you're not doing it 100, then you're cheating, or you're not really, you know, doing what you should be, you know, it's that mentality. But sometimes the discipline to say, no, this is where I need to be right now to get to the level where I want to be. I have to be able to execute at 60%,
That is so
or something
true.
like that.
That
That's
is so true.
That's the harder, more evolved state. Yeah.
That is so true. I think
We're passing the microphone back.
we're raised in a world, excuse me, where ego, of course, you know, and I say that not in a negative sense, but the ego drives us, you know, in life to succeed. We're in a culture that we're taught that, you know, right? So we start things, we finish things, and we push through where we have to. But it is so true that certain attributes of acceptance and grace to yourself are developed in the yoga room, and it makes for a better journey and a more authentic one, I think. So absolutely.
And I love the idea, or not the idea. You guys coming from Marines, like so. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that and how you guys kind of incorporate those qualities, because something does carry over. Like I can tell, like it's discipline and your support system and Yeah, tell me kind of how somehow that melds. There's something melding there.
Okay, I'll start and I'll hand off to Kevin because I know he's got a lot of good things to say. So I'm tying in a couple of concepts here, but I think one of the things, you know, that in the Marine Corps, it's really about showing up and you know, and showing up with your full self, and that's really what we do in yoga too. So in some ways, it's very compatible, very much the same.
Even when it's hard, and even when you don't.
Even when it's hard, even when it's not going to be pretty, even when you're not certain of the outcome, it's about showing up and just giving your best self in that moment, right? And so, but I do think the idea of acceptance and gracefully accepting where you are has helped a lot in us loving each other's Marine selves, you know, and being able to extend grace to ourselves first, and then also to each other. So I think there's a lot of compatible, and although it might seem like they're on other ends of the spectrum, there's a lot of things that were synchronous about the experiences.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah, I would say there's definitely a parallel to the yoga and to the Marine Corps, but I would, you know, kind of to what was Phoebe was saying and what you said, Lane, on the discipline. Just, you know, for example, I travel a lot for work. Got home last night from DFW about 11:30 or so, and kind of ate some salad and whatnot, and then went to bed, and then the alarm went off at 4:30 this morning so we could make the 5:30 a.m. class, and it wasn't like the first thing I was excited about doing, but you know, it is that I knew, hey, it's what I needed, you know, after three long days on the road, and it's a great calibrator, and so having sort of that sort of the ethos of the Marine Corps is very, to me, it's very much the same for this yoga, and I think when Phoebe introduced it to me, that like I, you know, felt that attract, because I've tried other yoga, and it, you know, it's not like it's bad, it's just that there's something that's very like down to the DNA core about this yoga that's very much aligned with kind of who we are and how we operate, and sort of our ethos, and but so for all you practitioners, that you guys would be great Marines too. So
there you go. It's true.
We're certain of that. Yeah. So. And
yeah, that's great, Kev. I agree with everything you said. Okay. But I also wanted to add that as I was thinking about it, the concept of renewal. So one thing in the Marine Corps, you know, you're trained to be a certain way in the world and to express a certain way in the world, and certain things that you don't express, right? So some things you get bottled up, and some things you're just conditioned not to express, right? The thing I love especially about Bikram yoga is that you go in there and you work out those emotions whether you're aware of it or not. And so it's a gift, and I'll never forget the first time after Kevin practiced, I felt like I had witnessed him be able to go in that room and to work out emotions that he really had not been in an environment to express, if you will. And so that concept of renewal, which Bikram offers to us, and it's so essential for our hearts to remain soft, you know, to go in there, and you sometimes are in a funk and you think, oh, there's no way I'm going to ever feel positive or optimistic again. You go in and you do 90 minutes, you come out a brand new person, and it happens every time, whether you are no matter necessarily a willing participant because of the science and of the yoga, right? And so that renewal, that is so important for a relationship, because we show up new, hopefully, to each other every day with an open heart and a new heart. It's that renewal was a new concept for us that didn't necessarily exist in our Marine lives. So kind of you know,
it's not,
yeah,
it's an unspoken,
yeah, there's just certain emotions that you don't exercise, or you stuff. And so that's what I do love so much about the gift of the yoga, that it's going to heal you whether you are on board and aware, because you know you're physically working out emotions that are stored in your body, and opening up chakras and all. So I love that about it, and I think that's been a gift for our relationship too. The renewal of the relationship, the renewal of self.
Yeah, we always look forward to coming together.
Yes.
Because there is something about it. Because there was times when Phoebe was sick, and I know we're going to talk about that, but that after she got home and then I was coming, it still didn't feel the same for me. Yeah. You know, even though it was really important for me to get back in here, it still didn't have the full, you know, that something is missing. And even though I was showing up, and like Phoebe was saying, and no matter what state, to try to get calibrated back into the good place, and when something, and something was not right. And then so the first time we got Phoebe back in the room, it was one of Jared's classes, and she just laid there. But it was great. I felt super energized. And so it's, for us, it's been a you know, that's like it's 2 times 2 is 6, not 4, and we get the extra power when we do it together. And so that's why we try to make that effort to do it together. It doesn't work out all the time, schedules and whatnot, but we try.
Yeah, so. And it's pretty wonderful. And So we've
so
been
I had
together.
to wake you up this morning.
Yes, he did, and I was going to say that too. Kevin's wonderful. He brings me coffee in bed. I'm going to admit it. I am. So my part was packing the car up and getting everything ready last night, because I knew that I'm not the morning person. And Kevin brings me my coffee, and it gives me a minute to wake up. So it's a sweet partnership. And we've been doing this yoga, so we've been together almost 40 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is something you build.
Thank you.
That's what I know. That's what I know.
Yeah.
Like this, when you say you've been together, like having a partner for 40 years, that is something you have built.
Yes, it's been
true.
Yes,
that's right. It's not a it's funny as you say it now, and we have the benefit of looking back and you go, that there's, you work at that. It's not accidental, and it doesn't just happen. You know, there's a process in that. Even though in the moment when we were 18 and 19 when we met, you're not thinking that. None of that is in your orbit. But as you look back, you realize, okay, that was part of the journey, and it's important for that to work. Otherwise, that you're right. And 40 years is a long time, and we've had a lot of, in 40 years, a lot of things happen in life, and you have to have that foundation that's built, and a process that you know how to do it, even if it's not conscious, but you've migrated into that place. Otherwise, some of life's curved balls, it wrecks a lot of people. That's not.
And relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
And so.
Absolutely.
And we've had our fair share.
Sure,
we're not
absolutely.
immune
And we'll delve in and talk about in just a minute about the what we recently went through. But I wanted to just add to what you said, Kevin. So we've been practicing 20. Since
the first one was in 2004, but we actively were like 2007.
Kevin's the linear person here, if you can't tell. But 20 years ago, so 20 out of 40 years is really what I was getting at. It's like almost half of the time we've been together. We've been doing yoga, and it is our marriage, our partnership has, just like the yoga journey. It has its stronger periods and more challenging periods. But hopefully, just like the yoga journey, you're always growing, and sometimes if your body is, like mine right now, is physically a lot less capable than it has been, but hopefully I'm building more in the mental realm when that happens, because you have to, I think you have to, if you're, you have to develop patience and acceptance all the more, and gratitude and all of those things. And so, so I guess we could talk about what we recently went through too, and how that has been. So I'm going to let Kevin tell the first part of this story.
On January 31st, and we probably back up a few weeks, but Phoebe had thought she had pinched a nerve, and from probably pushing a little too hard in class, and so was nursing it for a handful of weeks. And then she had a couple of seminars. One was out of town in Arizona, and she called one night, and it was, she thought it was a pinched nerve, and she was taking over-the-counter stuff and trying to muscle through it. And then she called one night and really she's like, hey, I got to extend my flight. I can't really even get out of bed. I got to let this heal. And then it was another night and another night. And then finally she's like, she shipped all her stuff from the hotel, got in the rental car, made it to the airport, muscled onto the airplane, got home, and still thinking it was a pinched nerve. Spent a couple more days, had another online seminar. I was home, and
another 4 days.
Yeah, another 4 days, and then I was getting up to leave. It was a Monday morning, and I was sort of like, should I leave? Should I not? You know, going out of town. And Phoebe's like, no, I'm going to be fine. This is going to get better. It's going to get better. So I left, and then Tuesday I'm talking to her, and communication was sparse. So I knew it's like, okay, you know, I think of it as like a farm dog, you know, that's been in a fight, and they crawl up under the house, and then they just try to hunker down and heal, and then they'll come back out in a few days. So I thought, okay, I get it. Second day, she's not really. The third day, it's like, we're trying to talk to our Phoebe's family practitioner, and we're trying to like see if we can't figure something out, and she wasn't all that coherent, and I was like, okay, something's wrong. And so I left. I was in Florida at the time, got on a plane, came home, got home around 3 in that afternoon. Phoebe was barely coherent, called the EMS. We went through a process, went to the hospital, and she spent the next 3 weeks there. And 2 of those in 2 different flavors of ICU. One's the regular ICU, and I didn't know there was flavors of ICU, and the other is a neurovascular ICU. And so she had contracted this bacteria and we don't know how, and we had the infectious disease team at Medical City, and you know, and a whole bunch of smart people,
15 other doctors,
yeah, trying to figure out you know, where and what and how. And
it was in the spine, yeah.
But it was in the spine, up and down entire spinal column. Luckily, in the canal, not in the column, luckily. And, you know, 3 surgeries later and all that, you know, and then eight after Phoebe was separated from the hospital was 8 weeks of every 8 hours through a PICC line. And for those you don't know, it's a line that goes into your arm all the way to your heart, 14 and a half inches, wow. And doing antibiotics for every 8 hours. And we were doing that at home. And so it was life-threatening, and probably the first 5 days, 4 to 5 days, it was very touch and go. And so you know, I know people have things and life-threatening things and illnesses and all that, but we've, you know, been healthy people. We've never had any issues, and thankfully, and the yoga and all that. And so it was very uprooting, and to our kids, of course, and plus then you're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. We're communicating, or I was communicating with a lot of doctors. Phoebe was not communicating with a lot of doctors, but I was talking to them. And so going through that process, right, it puts a sharp focus on a lot. I'm 58 years old, and Phoebe's 57 now. And so you start, you know, you think about a lot of things and what's important and what's not important. And so that's really helped us as we've come out of that process, because it's only recently, I guess April 17th was when Phoebe got the PICC line pulled out. So from January 31st to April 17th, you know, there was a continuous process in the medical, and then after that there was still a rehab, and Phoebe's not even 100% right now.
No, still healing.
Yeah,
couldn't walk when I left the hospital, and I was couldn't.
In a wheelchair, and then a walker, and all those were. It was very surreal for us to be, you know, because we were very active. We were Marines and very active in the yoga community, and super healthy, and then all of a sudden we're celebrating, hey, we're getting out of the wheelchair now, or hey, we're using the walker. And
let me tell you, that will shift every paradigm that you have. I mean, I will never forget not being able to walk, and the gratitude that I had for Kevin and Elijah, my son, was there. Sarah Kathrine flew from Michigan, and it was extremely traumatic for them. They didn't. I guess when they flew home, they weren't sure if I was going to make it, and so it was surreal. Kevin speaks about us getting to the emergency room. I remember the first 15 minutes after arriving, and then I remember being in the wheelchair and breaking out in a cold sweat and telling Kevin I didn't think I could sit up anymore. And I really, after the first 15, 20 minutes, I have no memory until I woke up in neuro ICU, I think 4 days later, and had some 3 surgeries, blood transfusions, every MRI, CAT scan, etc. you could ever imagine.
Sonograms, yeah.
All of it was
X-rays,
surreal.
yeah.
Had sepsis, extremely painful.
Yeah.
Had the dream in which I flew over my body with my deceased brother. So it was all very just completely out of our, I don't know, in anything that would have been normal for us. And, and extremely emotional too. I mean, I can't imagine what Kevin and the kids went through, because I was actually having some really positive experiences when I woke up, not knowing how serious anything was. I was like, I just remember them dry shampooing my hair, and Sarah Kathrine was making me laugh with the nurses, and
yeah.
I had some really, and I wasn't really seeing the place with the same eyes everyone was. When I went back and saw what neuro ICU looks like, God bless every person that has ever had to stay there. It is, I can see why everybody was worried, and so so grateful, and especially Kevin he was talking about developing a new aspect of your love, because it was just the purest love. He really. Sorry, not sorry, but just amazing.
The pure aspect of the love.
Yeah, pure yoga, pure love. It was just, I've never experienced anything like that, and it was, that alone was worth what I went through. But I'm sorry for the trauma for the kids, for Kevin, but but I think.
What do you mean that pure love? Like by your family showing up, or the people that were taking care of you, or what do you mean?
So Kevin and the kids, but. And primary, Kevin was really, the kids did everything that they could, and as much as they were there to do, and they were amazing, and oh my gosh, my love for them was just, it grew and grew and grew beyond, I thought it was already to its capacity, and then realized that it, was expanding even more. But Kevin was, he was there for everything. I literally could not do anything. It was, there was nothing I could do. Everything that I had to do, I had to ask Kevin to help me with, or to do for me. And that is, talk about curing yourself of independence. I was always overly independent and overly busy, and I got cured of both very quickly. And it was, I feel that, just like so many trials that we go through, you look back and you think, oh my goodness, the way we've grown through this, it was a blessing, and it was exactly what we needed. So as much as I wouldn't want to impose, in pain on loved ones, or I also think we all grew through it tremendously, and a lot of that had to do, we've practiced showing up here on the mat and being there for each other, and coming back to pure yoga was such a blessing, because I don't think I really, you don't feel yourself after you go through sepsis. It's a really weird thing. There's, it's common to have emotional outbursts. It's you have a lot of, it's like PTSD, but you're also fearful. I think there's, it's different. Pain is very different in your body. It just didn't feel like my body. But when I got back to pure yoga, even sweating in there for the first time with Jared, and then being able to come more regularly, I've actually felt myself again. So that's been such a gift, because it was kind of scary, because you're just like, well, you've never experienced it before, and you're thinking, well, I hope I can access that again, and then here it came through the yoga.
Good.
What a gift.
Wonderful.
And yes, and you guys sent me a card, and that made me cry, and I had a bracelet. I'll cry thinking about it.
Oh my goodness.
Mario picked out a bracelet, and you all did a card. It was I literally, when Kevin brought it home, I had to put it down before I could read it, because it was like, okay, one step at a time. But
Gosh,
anyway.
you know what's crazy about teaching and holding space here is that well, you just get the opportunity. This practice just attracts the most incredible people. And it's so funny, people are like, I don't know, want to like give teachers all this credit, but it's so funny because it's like, wow, I would not practice half as much if I wasn't surrounded by the most incredible people.
Wow.
Truly.
That's so beautiful.
And so, like, honestly, that is 100%. I would not bust my ass as hard as I do in my practice if I didn't see it in so many incredible people, and then like have these people like pour into me in ways that I haven't cultivated and am not able to pour out into other people. It's just it's a true community, and wow, it just we feed and nourish each other.
So well said.
But
so
I
well
just
said.
yeah, I just you guys are.
Well, and it's funny. I think that in sort of on Phoebe's, you know, back to the will and all that is, and that was a moment where, right, it was very, very scary and very, very unnerving, you know, for me and our kids, and but then, you know, after I started sort of coming to grips with, okay, this is, you know, then it was very clear to me, like, there is not one single thing that's even close to being important, to being laser focused on Phoebe and feeling like I was just willing, just pure, just like power to push, you know, pushing the doctors and everything else. It's like, I'm going to will her back to help, you know, whether that was part of it or not, you know, but I think about, you know, even in the yoga or the Marine Corps, you know, but that kind of thing is just like, it's very, you know, clarity of purpose, you know, and the power of that. But I think, you know, on your comment about the community, and we used to talk about this in the Marine Corps, is that, you know, does the Marine Corps make the person, or does the person, you know, make the Marine Corps? And I would say the same thing about this yoga, right? And you're saying it, Lane, that a lot of people who come here, like, that. And that's why, you know, I said, like, all these practitioners would be great Marines, because it's the vehicle for the person that gives them that pathway of what they are. And I think, you know, like you're saying, hey, that you get energy and power from, you know, teaching and being around those people, but I think we all come together, and this is just a vehicle. So we all sort of find it because it's in us. We just, you know, we're looking, and then we find this yoga, and then we become
so beautiful,
you know,
so beautiful,
connected to it.
We are so fortunate. Like, just the team here is unreal, unreal. I mean, we're spoiled, and we can never leave Dallas for that reason. Like,
and we have
really,
been to a lot of other students. I think I shared that with you. I shared it with Marty and Jeff and Jared, and we are very blessed.
We're so blessed, and
not only the quality of like you, but also just everything. This is like
first
there
rate.
isn't.
This really belongs to the studio.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Well, I want to bring up these qualities, these core values, because that's part of the reason why we want to interview you guys today, because you guys ooze out these core values that I know Marty and Jeff kind of contemplated and came up with these core values. They're courage, harmony, authenticity, nourishment, growth, and excellence. And here you guys both are wearing courage and excellence. And before the interview, they swapped. So I mean, both of them goes wonderful for both of you. But I'd love to hear, you know, whether it's the core value on your shirts or maybe one of these core values. How would you guys explain each other's core values?
So Kevin originally had the excellent shirt, and it's true. He's a hard ass, y'all. I have high standards. I have high standards, and but Kevin, he definitely deserves the excellence. He's a amazing guy. I mean, and that's not just because I'm married to him, but you know, I'm going to brag a little bit on his career, because Kevin is I'm gonna say it, but no, he really does. Leadership is his thing, and it's because of the commitment to excellence, but also the authenticity that he brings to. He's leading from the heart, and he's being real, and he's respecting people, and so I want to brag on that for Kevin. He's also very courageous, and the older we get, the more I'm happy to let him be the courageous one. I have spiritual, emotional courage, and I'll let him have all the physical courage because I'm kind of done with that. But yeah, so yeah.
Well, so thank you. But I would say Phoebe, and Phoebe's being modest too, and she's no slouch. And that was when I first met her. I was 19, she was 18, and that was the attraction. Besides, she was beautiful, but she was always wicked smart and funny, and those were the two things that were the real anchors for me. But she's also graduated from college at 21, and she was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps at 21, and she graduated from high school early. She graduated outstanding senior woman from college, and in every honor society there was, and and selected by the general to be an aide to a general, who then went on to become the commandant of the Marine, who's like the top general of the entire United States Marine Corps at a very young age. Was youngest of 10. Her mother tragically took her life when Phoebe was 5, and her father raised her, and
Yep, and Kevin was raised by his mom. We've talked about that, and that's kind of here's a funny little thing. At home, Kevin's usually the one thinking about the food, and I'm the one thinking about what needs paint. So he was
so sweet.
But I think
Wow.
me being raised by my father and Kevin being raised by his mother, we kind of rounded out the, what do you want to say, male, female attributes of the personality. So
oh my goodness, yeah, it's uncanny,
yeah.
but it's hard not to articulate that. It's so, because it's kind of almost a political thing these days to talk about masculinity and femininity. But because and in yoga too, I feel like it's the balance of masculine and feminine, and knowing these attributes of yourself and these attributes of yourself, but to see it manifested so beautifully in partnership, and then to hear a little bit about you guys talk about each other's background and be like, oh, these people are very balanced individuals in their own right.
Thank you.
These are people that know their masculine and feminine side. They know both of them. They work with both of them. But look at them. Energy in the world has brought them together in the way where they can balance each other out in this and support each other and build this thing that everybody around them is encouraged by, that it exists and holds, and it's just like you guys have built something that is very reverent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel so grateful,
Yeah.
and thank you, Lane, for that appreciation. I know when I met Kevin, somehow we recognized each other ourselves and each other. I think it was like we both knew right away.
I knew before.
Yeah, we said that word in the first couple of months. But anyway, no, I think there was an immediate connection. We just knew it. And I still feel that to this day when I look over.
Yep, still here.
And see Kevin on the mat. I think that is, he's probably, so we're both authentic and we're both open, but we know the deepest parts of each other, and that's beautiful, and so I'm really grateful for that. So I think that's that funny little moment of looking over and seeing each other on the yoga mat and knowing everything we've both been, but it's somebody that really knows and has been through it all with you, and so to reach over and give a squeeze of hand, even though it's not part of the practice. Or
we will allow it. We will allow it.
That's why we kind of blow kisses. It's like, I love you and I see you.
They sometimes do a little high five before Shavasana. I'm like, we will allow it. We will allow the Sisks to high five.
So that's kind of why we do that. But
it's a power exchange.
That's why we do
beautiful. Is that how you see it?
It is. Definitely getting energy from each other.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
And I wanted to just say too, Kevin mentioned the being raised by my mother. I was just going to mention I have I mean, my father. Okay, well, you know what? She raised me too. But anyway, my mother committed suicide. I opted not very long ago. Everybody has had a tough time during COVID, and so I've gotten a tattoo that says 40 days on my wrist, and intentionally put it there where people might choose to end life. But it was really about this. Well, it's the renewal that we talk about. It's to me, it represents the 40 days of the Easter promise. I always loved the time leading up to Easter. As humans, we need reminders and we need occasions to, kind of mark our journey. So it was always this wonderful excitement about making yourself, the intention of having a new heart by the time Easter arrives every year. So just
so that Lenten season up into the resurrection, right?
Absolutely.
And I love also, there's so many things about the 40 days and on lots of different spiritual paths
everyone
and
you can think of. That's so true.
So
it's very inclusive.
Beautiful.
Very inclusive. And we're Catholic, which means universal, but it's in every practice.
I
and that's
love
what
that.
I love. It's like, and so completely acknowledge and embrace that for every single, and just a reminder for everyone that we can all be who we want in 40
power
days.
To renew, start over, and all that. It's a moment away.
It's a gift of every moment, and if you so choose that you can become whomever and you want to be in the 40 days. And it's also a reminder too that I think all of us are visited by what I would call false emotions. And it's our society is very well intentioned, but sometimes we talk about the strong and the weak, or helping them, and really I believe it's all of us that sometimes are visited by false emotions, and it's important to be able to know that they're coming and to be able to call them out and then to wait them out. And so I put this on my wrist. It's initiated a lot of great conversations with people, maybe when they needed it, I think. And
what do you mean false emotions?
Feeling worthless, feeling that the world isn't good, or that or that we're not worthy, or that we're life isn't what we want it to be. It's just I think those are normal emotions, but they're also false, if you will. Those that tell us that we're not enough. And so it's just a reminder.
You're we're coining false emotions as emotions that are through the filter of I am not enough.
Exactly.
I
because
love
we
that.
are all enough. And so, but I think,
and that has to be false.
Absolutely,
we have to believe that's false.
And you got to know it's coming and be able to say.
It just feels wrong in the human heart to say that. It makes me feel sick inside.
Yeah. And it comes to all of us, and you just have to be, all right, buddy, I see you, and you are a liar, and I'm going to wait you out, because by morning time, you're not going to be here anymore. It's just, and that's kind of what the 40 days is like, just to, and I almost put on there, please stay. That was what the young people say to each other. It's like, just wait it out. It's going to pass. And it's, the morning sun is coming. It's on the way.
Right.
So, yeah.
And even in the practice, you all always talk about, how your body's different every day, where you are in a given posture is going to be different from time to time. But if you're doing exactly what you can do in that moment, that's enough, and you're doing the full expression of what you can do, and you're getting that benefit. And those are the things in the mind that it's hard, right? To say, well, if I'm not doing it perfect, then I'm not. But it's like, no, I'm doing it perfect for where I am right now in this moment, and that's enough. And that's in the world we live in, there's a lot of comparisons, that can make it hard to be at peace with those kinds of things. And that's where I think the practice really helps you to say, hey, this is where I am, and this is good, and that's and being peaceful with that.
Absolutely.
So.
And honestly, seeing outstanding people like you, like Jared, I think I've said to both of you, I would love to know what it feels like in my physical body to be able to do what you do, and I'm so happy for you. I really am. I'm so happy for you and Jared to experience that in this lifetime, to have that kind of pristine physicality. But at the same time, I watched Lane the other day rest when she needed to, and that is such a great and I mean that's what we need, because to feel at peace with it, because you know what I'm saying, like if all the wonderful practitioners are not taking a rest when they need it, then the voices can start. And I mean, that I think, been in the yoga room long enough that it doesn't happen so much, but it is wonderful to see wonderful teachers who are so capable show grace to themselves when they need it, really listen to the body, because that's what it's about. You know, being able to listen to your...
Gosh, and I want to say a little something to that, in that I feel like in building postures, yoga postures, no matter how, you know, beginner or advanced, it's like you're building this container to breathe into and create a kind of an alchemy shift of energy, and, you know, building these containers in and of themselves, I mean, it doesn't mean much, but what we learn through building them is everything. And I just want to give the similarity between like building a yoga posture and a building this incredible marriage that y'all have. It's the same, like how the same it is. Like it's facilitating this container. Airtight edges because you've learned, and you've learned how to build something so incredible and life-giving, tapped into the source of something deeper than maybe any of us can really understand. But I just want to, so in the same way that you maybe look at like this physical posture, I'm in the same awe of like miraculous, like, whoa, what am I seeing here? But between y'all, and I think I know I'm not the only one. And that's exactly why we want to bring y'all's voices to the forefront right now.
Thank you so much.
Just to
so beautiful.
Yeah, give you guys an outlet to share so we can learn from you.
It's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
All of a sudden, it's like I'm just thinking, I was reflecting on how body-mind is a partnership within ourselves, and I'm also just realizing, I have chills, I'm partnering with your mind and body. You know what I mean?
How we all kind of do that.
Like if my mind is, then I'm reaching in and grabbing a hold of what's in yours to strengthen me. It's like, wow, it doesn't stop here. You know,
absolutely not.
And that is, but that is about the nourishment. But it's a very real thing. It's quantum physics, energetically, like really, really borrowing your energy and using it when I am in need and in a deficit, right?
Yes, or just to have that like modeling. Yeah, whether it's like modeling in a physical pose or modeling to watch like, okay, this is a real thing that can happen. I know it's like a dying thing in our culture.
Yes.
But wow, look at these two people. They've found absolute beauty and support, and somehow they have not run from life's terror together.
That's so true, and we're so fortunate. And we cuss sometimes, Hey,
you gotta express.
You don't want to see two Marines fight, but we love each other so much, I know. And we love y'all so much. And I can't. I mean, the gift of what we have here, next to food and water. If I have food and water, sleep, and yoga, pure yoga, kid you not. I mean, and I've felt that way so many times leaving class thinking, I don't need, it simplifies, it's like, I don't need anything but this, food, water, and sleep, and, family. But love y'all, and I'm so grateful too to Marty and Jeff, knowing that they also went through, Marty went through something really traumatic and very similar to what we went through, and what a gift they're giving us.
Very healthy and not
super healthy.
Their last thing they're thinking.
Oh my goodness! They're the epitome of that, and and I love also.
So you got to be ready.
Gotta be ready.
That it's not just all willpower, like even in the practice, that it's not all just pushing through. Like that's what we're learning here, and I think that's like our overall culture of like learning how to practice yoga. It's not pushing through. My God, it's not stamping down the door. It's so true. It's not pushing your leg behind your head.
That true strength is through grace, and it's like
and there's the power. The power of being able to have that one awareness and two the discipline to restrain is to me is really the superpower. Not busting down the door.
Right. Anybody could bust down the door. With enough practice.
Isn't that true? It's like, and it's again,
So
turning the wheel over to the Yeah,
And I say
I'm
that's
grateful
something I
for
feel
it.
like I'm
'Cause
constantly.
yeah, we were conditioned
process,
to, that ego, it
Right.
was again turning the wheel
Which
over
it's,
to the yogi.
it's easier to just bust down the door,
Right, yeah.
isn't it? Than to like stop and
Right.
breathe and be like, well, is this the best thing for my hamstring that hurts right now?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And what will be lost in me busting down the door?
Right.
I might be preserving my ego's piece, but what piece will be lost by
Right.
me
Right.
not listening truly to my body? It's just, it's a,
So a give and a take, I guess.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's a masculine and feminine pull. We live in a
It is.
dualistic world.
Right,
We've
yeah.
got to
And
find
it's always the
samadhi.
balance.
Yeah.
Yes,
And that's
that
so true.
one-pointed mind.
And we're constantly looking for that balance every day, and that's we need the renewal every day, and that's why it's such a gift to.
And that's why we're trying to get here.
Yes.
Well,
And
thank
I
you
love
guys
Thank
for
you, Lane. Thank
just
you.
holding space in a chaotic world, in chaotic situations, in a really grounded and peaceful way. And just being a beacon of light to your community.
Thank you,
Well, thank you,
Lane.
Lane.
Yeah, thank you.
We didn't know we
Tanya.
were,
Thank
but
you
it's-
so much.
yeah,
Love you. We're so grateful.
guys are
and
just the best.
We're honored, and
Yeah.
we'll hope to live up to all of your beautiful words.
It is like because we're not thinking about like that's what we're
I
doing.
know,
You know,
I know you're
and-
not.
Just like
That's
Lane
why it's
said.
so authentic and perfect.
Just like Lane was
because
explaining.
I know,
just
and it just
proves
and so
it,
it
yeah.
feels a little for
Yeah,
me. It feels a
I
little
know.
bit
We're so-
uncomfortable. Because
Yeah.
it's like, well, we weren't really, but I
Yes.
guess it's what it is.
It
and
is
so-
what it is, and
yeah.
thank God for it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming
you
and just
so
sharing
much.
your hearts, and thank you guys for tuning
Yeah.
in to
Thank
Pure
you.
Yoga
Thank y'all.
Talk. You guys
Bye.
have a great rest of
Namaste.
your day. Namaste.